With the release of Natlan's teaser, we are getting a lot of interesting lore tidbits and of course, new houses to sell our belongings to. We finally get to see Yansan in action, we also get the name of the new Pyro Archon, Mavwika, and we also get a very interesting sentence being spoken by Mavwika at the end of Natlan trailer.
For with our blood, we will forge our true fate.
This line got me thinking if she knows the real fate of Teyvat, and considering we got ominous teases about the fake sky of Teyvat ever since all the way back from 1.1, Unreconciled Stars event from Scaramouche, all the Varinarwal's attack, Liban's opinion about the sky, the Book of Esoteric Revelations, Dottoro's message to Nahida about the fake sky, and even from New Villet's character teaser, this leads me to believe that we are going to explore about the fake sky theory the moment we reach Natlan. Speaking of the fake sky theory, the Imaginarium Theater also takes a deep dive into this topic from the new book Little Witch and the Undying Flame and of course, this arena. We will explore everything that we know about the theater and the new book that they just gave us and of course, what is going to be the future of Genshin from this point on. Get your tinfoil hat ready because we are going to have a lot of fun deep diving into the world of Imaginarium Theater's lore. I would like to put a huge disclaimer that there will be a huge chunk of theory crafting section in this video. If there's any real life references being mentioned, they're simply just references and doesn't mean they reflect to the actual facts stated in the game. I'll make sure to remind everyone when the theory crafting part is up with this sound effect, so if you don't want to get yourself mixed up, you can jump to the selected timestamps. Also, please refrain from using leaks in the comments, they're still unconfirmed information and I would personally not use them as my source of lore and theory crafting. Before we start, don't forget to give this video a like and comment so the channel can be noticed by the algorithm. I'm juggling my time as a college student, an artist, and video editing, so a little bit of boost will help this channel a lot, and that lets me know that I'm doing a good job. My name is Neko Gitson and I make lore and commentary videos on this channel to keep you company. The Imaginarium Theater starts with us entering the forbidden area of the Knights of Avonia's library, where we enter the room and are transported into this very interesting room where we are constantly going up, and the door is different the moment we enter the room. We see some flying teacups as well, and also a table with 8 seats around it. If you guys don't know, this table is a tea table that the Hexen Circle used to have their tea parties. So far we know 6 of them, that being Alice, Barbeloth, Nicole, Andersdottir, Ivanova, and one of the 5 sinners of Kynria, Rhindaughter or Gold. However, the new book plays all over the theater, the Little Witch, and the Undying Fire, introduces us another witch, Octavia, or nicknamed Azo. Back to the theater, the reason this theater was made is still unknown, at least lore-wise. Gameplay-wise, of course, for the new endgame content, and that is a completely different topic. You can watch this video if you're interested, and you can watch it right after this video, link in the description and pinned comment. However, there are some hints why this theater was made in the first place. All known facts are that the Hexen Circle made this whole theater and everything is in the form of fairy tales, a combination of both fantasy and reality. What we know now is that Wolfy has been taking care of this theater for so long, waiting for guests to come and is set as the concierge by the Madam Mage, who he described as someone who can see the fate of the stars. From this, we know that Barbeloth is the person who is responsible for giving Wolfy a life, and we can see that from his crown wearing a huge star inside of it. And apparently, Barbeloth is the one who made the whole theater, which explains the star symbolism painted all across the room. What makes it even more interesting is that we might not be in Mondstadt the moment we enter the theater. Now, we also get a new book called The Little Witch and the Undying Fire. This book is basically a fairy tale about a little witch who was given a mission to find the Undying Fire to pass a test to become a witch herself. This book is actually a collaborative project written by some of the Hexen Circle members, including Octavia herself. The story goes by saying the little witch is taking a test by her teacher to find the Undying Fire to become a witch. While doing so, she meets a lot of different witches and a lot of different events are going on, with some plenty of juicy lore that we learn, which I will elaborate more in a second. At one point, she received a message from her teacher saying she failed the test. Understandably, she is angry and came back to her teachers who told the little witch to find Octavia, a witch she is close to, which Octavia also said that the cosmos are dying soon, so there's no need for the little witch to become a witch anymore. In the final chapter, the Undying Fire is actually the little witch's teacher. The teacher passed away and in the end, the little witch carrying the fire all across the universe. I'm going to be honest with you all, this book is a huge mess and my brain was not braining the moment I read this. But to me, it makes sense because they're written by different members of Hexen Circle, which I would assume not all of them are good at writing. Anyways, chapter 1 is written by Alice, chapter 2 by Barbeloth, 3 by Andersdottir, 4 by Ivanova, 5 by Nicole, 6 by Octavia, and 7 by all other members of the Hexen Circle, except Andersdottir. However, the lore in this book is very spicy, at least my opinion, and I did my very best to reread the book and highlighted some of the key lore for you guys. Of course, there are some important things you need to know about, especially chapter 2 where it explains pretty much how the world of Teyvat works, but for now, we'll discuss only the important parts. In chapter 2, this book reveals some interesting lore about the Archons, as they are celestial bodies that are also a will that came down from the heavens, and they are 7, and apparently they are planets. The book also mentions something called the virtuals, which are essentially theorized planets that have varied numbers that could be 1, 2, and 4. And the setting in the storybook takes on one of the virtuals called the Dark Sun, which would also imply that Teyvat is a virtual called the Dark Sun. Interestingly enough, the book mentions that in this world, referring to Teyvat, the stars are heavenly strings which our humans are bound to while in the other worlds, astrology is the subject of scientific studies. While of course this doesn't mean that those scientific studies are not relevant to Teyvat, they're simply weakened by a giant sky shroud. This heavily implies that Barbeloth indeed know that the sky of Teyvat are indeed fake. And we all know that all of these are indeed factual because in the book's description, Barbeloth argued with one of the other witch that she is not just setting flesh out of her imagination, but elucidating natural science and other miscellaneous disciplines. So yeah, all those fake sky theories are indeed no longer theories and conspiracy, but are indeed a real thing. This is actually a big thing because remember, Barbeloth is Mona's master, and Mona is able to read people's fate by reading the stars through her scryglass, which should also be the same thing with Barbeloth. We got so many confirmations about this fake sky theory from other sources, but those are not really confirmed if that makes sense. Now we got even more confirmation about this theory based on Barbeloth's factual knowledge and the upcoming new witch which we will talk about later, Octavia. So yeah, we're In chapter 4, the book is written by Ivanova and it's revealed that she indeed doesn't have any magical powers like other witches do. It's pretty much the same like Andersdottir. But it's worth noting that Ivanova was the mayor of Snezhnaya, and in fact the first one, as per confirmed by this fortune slip that you get from talking to this cat, which could possibly mean that she is the mayor way before or literally before Pulcinella. Snezhnaya by itself is actually a very loose confederacy, meaning everything is decided together along with other citizens. In chapter 6, we learn the new witch named Octavia, which interestingly enough means number 8 in Latin names. It's the witch that barely has any gatherings with other Hexen Circle members. Her hometown got destroyed and because of that, she has taken the life of eternal wandering. That sounds familiar. Anyways, this is also the reason why we don't see the H-chair in the Hexen Circle animatic on the last Windbloom event, because she always wanders off and sees other worlds beyond the sky, and the witches barely set a chair for her because of this reason. In any case, she reveals that the cosmos is going to die soon, things peak out but not too long ago, and are about to go south very fast. Many stars across the cosmos have gone out, and we don't know how much time is left. This means that Octavia already sees what is happening beyond the fake skies of Teyvat, and based on her description, time is running out. Remember, this takes place when Ivanova was still alive, which could possibly mean a few hundred years ago. If Octavia said time is running out from that time, then how about now? Now, after reading this book plenty of times and reading other source materials, which I will mention later, this book seems to be written for Andersdottir. I also want to mention that it seems Andersdottir died midway, most notably at chapter 5, as the description of the book says something happened. In chapter 6, the book's description mentions that the book would be meaningless from the start if they don't continue, as Octavia says. As for chapter 7, the final chapter is written by all other members and the book ends with, "I wish you were here too." Now back to square one. Why is this theater made in the first place? Based on the hints we got, this theater could be a realm made for Andersdottir, or possibly in the memory of Andersdottir. Everything about this realm talks about fairy tales, and it's interesting to see that we see a lot of heavy references dedicated to the Boar Princess, which is a book that Andersdottir is very well known for, and Wolfy's design that is somewhat reminiscent of the wolf in that book as well. Wolfy also said that Andersdottir magic seems to be writing fantasy story that have truth in it, or what he calls as fantasy truth, which could possibly mean that Andersdottir made a story about the theater and the witches are just making the theater into a reality, possibly Barbalot. This also confirms that all the stories Andersdottir wrote are indeed stories based on what actually happened in reality of Teyvat, and it's very possible that Alice was very interested in Andersdottir, who is a normal human, because of her quote-unquote magic. Remember, the Hexenzirkel are witches known to study the Irminsul and the fate of Teyvat, so it's very possible that the reason Andersdottir was recruited was to avoid themselves being affected by Irminsul tampering. This is something that even Barbalot has to commend because she said it herself that Andersdottir's stories are something that even surpass astrology in one of the fortune slips you get when talking to this cat. Speaking of that, this is the other sources that I meant. All of these slips are letters written for Andersdottir when she was close or when she was already dead, which supports the theory more that this realm was indeed made for her. Maybe the rest of the fortune slips are written by Andersdottir, and I can say that because the game explicitly said how the writing of these letters are different. It's more than likely that the teacher witch in the book of the Little Witch and the Undying Fire is the Andersdottir, and as for the Little Witch, this could be either few possibilities. The 8th unrevealed witch, Alice herself, or perhaps how other Hexenzirkel witches see themselves as. This theory holds more merit when the Little Witch says, "You often say that you weren't our equal, but I've always believed you to be the cutest, most powerful witch amongst us. You often say that you left little behind, but the stories you left to us hold countless worlds. Even should 100 years pass, or 1,000, even if the apocalypse that a certain astrologer witch worried about comes, even if all long-lived witches die, the little light that emanates from these little words will not grow dim. That's right, you are the greatest great witch, far greater than all of us. I miss you. Farewell." I kid you not, the moment I reread the whole story, especially that part that I just read, it made me tear up because it's so sweet that this group of witches actually hold Andersdottir that highly despite being only a human. It's definitely safe to say that this group of witches hold their friendship very seriously, because they made invitation for Ivanova's wedding and made a little storybook before Andersdottir died. Some may say that Andersdottir is the weakest out of the witches because unlike Ivanova, who is also a normal human but can govern a nation, Andersdottir is just a writer. But to me, I do agree with the Little Witch and Barbalot that Andersdottir's stories are indeed a lot more influential than anyone would have thought. Remember, Andersdottir was implied as the legend that never dies by other Hexenzirkel members, which goes to show that how important Andersdottir's role is. Think of it this way, alright? We know from Nahida that Irminsul tampering can cause memory alteration. While it does happen, the actually history doesn't change. Everything that happens still occurs, Ruka Devada's deeds still happen, it's just that the way everyone in Teyvat remember it is different. The only way for people of Teyvat to avoid this is by keeping the history in a form of fairy tale, hence why Nahida kept everything that happened about Scaramouche in an allegorical fairy tale. Andersdottir did not only write one book, in fact there's three of them, it's just that The Boar Princess happens to be one of her famous books. If you look at the cover of The Boar Princess, it seems that her signature is the form of a rose. So it's safe to say that The Pale Princess and the Six Pygmies could be one of her works as well. And considering that even Lisa made us as permanent custodian for this book, this could possibly mean that Lisa knows more than meets the eye on what this book even means. What makes it even more interesting is that in one of the fortune slips you get, Alice actually mentions it herself that the Boar Princess characters are stand-in characters, meaning the book is based on a real experience packaged in a fairy tale. So with that being said, Andersdottir's books are indeed factual, just packaged in a fairy tale similar to how Nahida packages Wanderer's memories in the form of fairy tale. Honestly, it would be interesting to have her as a playable character because at this point, Andersdottir is one of my favorite characters in this game, but, well, it is what it is. This is a small theory, but this realm could be something similar to where A fights the Raiden Shogun in Makoto's realm of consciousness, so there might be a chance that we even hear Andersdottir speaking, but I could be wrong. So yeah, it's not fully confirmed yet, but this realm is more than likely a memorial realm for Andersdottir. But again, we have to wait and see some sort of confirmation from any of the Hexen Circle members, which I do believe we will get the answers later on. Speaking of that though, don't you find it funny how out of all places, Lisa's library is the place where they decide to make this realm? They have so many different places where it could be as secretive as possible, like, I don't know, Dragonspine, or just in the middle of nowhere. But they chose Lisa's library, or more specifically, the Knights of Avonia's library. There are some possibilities, but I would like to assume that this realm was made way before Lisa was born. Besides, Andersdottir and Ivanova lived hundreds of years ago, and we know this because Alice told us that Hexen Circle is a group where she hangs out with her friends during her youth. But there's also another possibility. You see, Barbeloth made this room with her magic, and even Wolfy can't answer whether we are still in Mondstadt or not. So this could possibly mean that this place is nomadic, meaning the place can move whenever and wherever it wants. Besides, we can't even enter this room unless we are invited, which I would like to assume that Barbeloth or maybe Alice invited us or give us access to enter this room. We just don't know when they did that. I would like to think that this is possibly a place where we will see either of these witches or perhaps even Andersdottir consciousness herself, but that's just a crack theory. But still, why Lisa? She explicitly said that she is not interested in the Hexen Circle because of the constant tea parties and Irminsul exploration based on what she thinks of Mona. So why in her library? Well, we all know by now that Lisa is the best student in Sumeria Academia in 200 years, having to only graduate in 2 years and her ability to explain things so precisely. One would say that she is the body of knowledge like Alhaitham, maybe even smarter. If you look at Lisa's vision story, she is able to get all the knowledge she wants with the aid of her vision, which I would like to assume that she got her vision during her study in academia. However, her vision story also states that Lisa knew that when gods grant you a vision, there's a cost to be paid. I think this is the reason why she is not interested in Hexen Circle in the first place, the fear of knowing the truth. But I also would like to think that Hexen Circle knows that Lisa is the right person for the job to keep the realm, especially since she seems to know the truth behind the Pale Princess and the 6 Pygmies. The Abyss Mage from her story quest even called her out for concealing her true identity. If you use her in the Imaginarium Theater and talk to her after a battle, she admits that this place is indeed a domain, and not only that, she said that she knew all of the enemies at the back of her head. She said that she read books to know that, but I say that's because there's no way she knew everything about it, especially because she also states that the enemies will grow stronger the more we explore the realm. This could imply that Lisa was indeed invited or given permission to enter this room by the Hexen Circle member, most likely to be Alice, and has visited this realm more than once, possibly even regularly. There might be a possibility that Lisa is a Hexen Circle member, or possibly even a successor of Andersdottir like Scarlet to Ivanova, but I personally would refrain myself from that idea since there's no solid proof that can back up this idea. Now, who is Wolfy? There are a few possibilities, but based on his description of himself, it could be possible that he is the wolf in the story of the Boar Princess, like what I said earlier. However, the more I look at it, especially the more that I try to explore this theory, it seems that Wolfy is just a different entity from the storybook and seems like just a toy made by Hexen Circle, possibly Barbeloth, to take care of the theater while waiting for guests to come. You also have to remember that from one of the fortune slips, Alice mentions that the Boar Princess characters are stand-in characters, meaning the book is based on a real-life experience packaged in a fairy tale. Wolfy's dreams are also quite all over the place because all of them are based on experience not only in game books, but also real-life books as well. We currently don't have much information regarding to Wolfy just yet, so it's safe to say that Wolfy is, well, just a concierge. More than likely as concierge to take care of the realm while the witches are away and prepare a lot of delicious snacks whenever someone visits the realm. There's also a possibility that Wolfy is a character based on every Hexen Circle member's memory, which explains why he is able to make references from real life books, or maybe even based on Andersdottir memories, but that's just a theory for now. Now, I would like to think that the Imaginarium Theater's lore might foreshadow some future content in Genshin Impact, maybe even Natlan lore, especially that we got confirmation from an actual master astrologer, Barbeloth. Don't you also find it so weird and eerie that we got so many teeny tidbits about the sky? Even in New Violet's trailer, we see the sky is cracking. Not only that, we also see Skirk's power that resembles the dark stars, or possibly even quantum. You guys have to remember that even Mona doesn't believe the skies are fake during the 1.1 Unreconciled Stars event, but coming from her master who is worried about the certain apocalypse in the Little Witch and the Undying Fire, we'll have to take into an account that the sky are indeed fake, and Celestia is definitely hiding something from us. In this battle arena, if you manage to get to hard mode, we see the skies are indeed splitting. The firmament is splitting, and eerily enough, the sky looks very similar to what is shown in the Book of Esoteric Revelations. From Liben's ominous message to us referring more to the stars than Natlan itself during his event, we might unveil the truth behind the firmament of Teyvat. There could even be possibility that we will have another encounter with Hexen Circle member, possibly even Alice or Babeloth when such occurrences happen. For now, it's safe to say that the Hexen Circle is one of the good guys, or at least most of them, because Rhindaughter seems to be one of the main antagonists in this game. But there could be a possibility that Rhindaughter no longer stands with the 5 sinners, especially since she joined the Hexen Circle. Either that, or she joined before the Cataclysm because Ivanova died centuries ago, implying that Hexen Circle could be made before the Cataclysm. However, this is a topic that we will discuss in another video if there's a chance. All in all, I think we finally get to know more about this group of ladies. It's definitely safe to say that all of these ladies are indeed way more powerful than they seem, especially Andersdottir, who seems to be just a normal human with extraordinary talent of recording history with storybooks. For my next video, I'll be discussing all known facts about Natlan, so please be sure to stick around. If you liked the video, please don't forget to like and comment so the channel can be noticed by the algorithm. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Ja, mata ne!